Hi YouTube. This video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. I wanted to hop on here and talk about ancestors and my experience that I had communicating with my ancestors. I have my computer right here. I have a few notes on it just so I can stay a little more on track. So I will be glancing over this way throughout the video. So a little background on me. I grew up and was baptized as Catholic. My mother is Catholic and is practicing. My father was raised Presbyterian, and my brother was also baptized as Catholic. I currently am not practicing. I am not religious. I am more spiritual. And I believe all of the information with the cosmic downloads that I have received on nine ether beings and there being this universal God consciousness that is full of love and so much more that sometimes I struggle to put into words after feeling this universal connection. I was born in Nairobi, Kenya, and I lived in several different African countries. I lived and moved to Lagos, Nigeria, then Accra, Ghana, then Abuja, Nigeria, then Burkina Faso, Ouagadougou, Loveland, Colorado for a little bit, and then back to Nairobi, Kenya. Even though I was in Africa and I was exposed to a bunch of people from different walks of life, I was never exposed to specifically, being there, African spirituality. I did not have any close friends from kindergarten up to through senior year who practiced spirituality and practiced communicating with their ancestors. Maybe they did, but they just did not share. And there wasn't any education that I received through the education system. The most exposure that I got, even on the idea of ancestors, was through the media and through TV shows and films. Once I moved to the United States for university, specifically in 2016, and I was in Greeley, Colorado, I was taking several different Black-focused courses, from development of Black identity to race in America to Black women in America. And in these courses, whether it was through the teacher or the students, I kept hearing the word ancestors pop up again and again and again. And I knew a few people who I then became close with who would invite this ancestral energy into their home. But I still, at that point, didn't go any further in investigating how I possibly could communicate with my ancestors. So after I graduated university and then moved here with my brother, I definitely felt this calling. There has been some type of spiritual shift and awakening in me, and I believe that's because there's been an awakening in the planet, on the planet, and within all of the divine beings, I really started feeling this pull of who are my ancestors and how can I communicate with them, specifically this past year. So I went to this amazing resource, YouTube, and I started just watching video after video after video after video after video. And I just felt so lucky that I had this resource with all these different people from these different walks of life, carbonated goddess, carbonated god living in this part of the world or this part of the world, and how they were exposed to their ancestors, and then how they choose to communicate with them and to continue building this relationship while they're here in the physical. So I came across more videos, and what kept popping up once I started landing on which video, I wanted to further lean into a little more, altars kept popping up in the videos. So I had never built my own altar or attempted communicating in my home. I don't remember if I said this in the beginning, but I was adopted by 2 Americans who are Caucasian. I do remember saying that they were Catholic, but if I didn't say that, I do want to say that now, because that's a part of the reason. My brother and I have ancestors, and it's like their relationship to their past is different, whereas ours is completely different. I'm gonna phrase it that way. And my brother is also not my blood brother, but we are brothers nonetheless. Trust and believe. So with the altar, I just became more curious because I'd seen some, films where characters have an altar. I'd never seen one in my life and had someone explain, this is what's going on, and this is how you invite the energy into the room. This is how you respect your ancestors, and some of these deities that you can call upon, communicate with, work with. So I ended up, coming across these videos and then decided to try and build one. So I started working with the elements, making sure I had my water, my fire, my earth, Gaia, and the air, and then divine cosmic love within me, or the dark matter energy within me. And I set up this little altar by my bedside on the floor, and I tried communicating out loud one night verbally, and then the next following night I did it internally through my third eye. I just put the vibrations out there, and I was experimenting, exploring, and the result of this was that each time that I did it, I felt a deep internal peace, and I just had expectations, I'm not gonna lie, based off of some of the videos that I had seen of these carbonated goddesses or gods who were more experienced than I was in having an experience where they're in the physical and they are literally seeing their ancestors or some deity in a gas state, because there's solid, liquid, gas, and then plasma energy. Or some others who have talked about how they communicate and then they see and feel their ancestors in their mind's eye. So that's a part of the reason as to why I was going out loud versus internally in my mind's eye. And like I said, I felt peace, and I felt internally cleansed. I felt refreshed and recharged in a way that I can't say that I feel or felt from just taking a nap. But I did have, those expectations of seeing someone and having this desire to communicate with someone. So after this, because I really had that deep desire and wanting to see someone, I changed my tactic, and one night I lit a candle by my bedside, and I made sure it was a pink candle to increase the likelihood of inviting this divine cosmic love in the room. And I ended up just holding the thought deep in my heart that I want to communicate with my ancestors, and I want to see my ancestors. Oh my gosh, I want to see my ancestors. And I just kept repeating it in my head. And my body, slowly but surely, started to feel more calm. It's like I could feel some of the energy moving through my body. At some point, I start dozing off and I'm in darkness. What happens next is that all of a sudden, I'm in the higher realms and I'm opening my eyes, coming to, and I'm in this water. I'm surrounded by water and I'm gliding. I'm levitating. That was how I was moving through this water. And it wasn't thick. It was a little darker, like if I was at the bottom of the sea. But I felt peace. And while I was levitating and gliding through the water, the sensation that allowed me to do this, I felt in the right side of my brain. And it felt natural. It was like the energy was expanding from my brain, from the right side of it. Like the expansion of a balloon when you start filling it up with air. And just like a balloon needs air to become bigger and fuller in size, the times that I have levitated, flown, or glided through space in the astrals, there has been an initial expansion of energy in the right side of my brain. And immediately after that, my body does whatever I want it to do. It's like me putting my keys into the ignition in a car vehicle. And then this car will go wherever you want it to go because you're the one putting your foot on the gas. That little energy in the right side of my brain, which starts from darkness, from nothing, and then all of a sudden it's there and it slowly starts expanding. And then that was like the keys into the ignition in the car. And then my body is the vehicle. And because of this, I can now go wherever I want. And my body becomes, I don't want to say numb or limp, but in theater, when there'd be this tension in my body, the teacher would just be like, there's no reason to hold this here. Release. Let it go. And there's this release from my shoulders down where my body just trusts this energy right here, and it just follows suit accordingly. It has been more of a flowing motion because I'm not, going super fast. But that was what I was doing. And then all of a sudden, while I am gliding through this beautiful blue water, there is this kingdom that appears in front of me. And I see it, and there's all this beautiful green vegetation and these pillars holding up this structure, like the pillars, those really thick pillars at a courthouse. And from about the midway point of one of those pillars going up, it had a lot of cracks in it, you know, and it wasn't that it was broken, but that's the type of character the architecture had. And all of a sudden, while I'm underneath this water, I noticed a being poke its head out, and then I saw another being poke their head out, and more beings started to appear from what I can only assume what I am labeling as an underwater kingdom. Now, the interesting thing about these beings, and the first thing that I noticed, is that they were blue. Their blue ranged from a mid-tone blue all the way up to a really light blue, but I'm talking a cosmic color blue. The glow that was coming from these beings was so powerful and beautiful. I have never seen this specific color and radiance in my life here in the physical. I mean, it was truly magical. And I felt completely safe while I was down there, and they were in front of me, and they started making themselves known. And there was some type of familiarity to this space that I was in. Like, I know I have been there before. The full memories of me being there have yet to come back, or I have yet to access them, that are deep within me, but I know I've been there before. And I wanted to stay. I had a bunch of questions, naturally, with what's going on. And I wanted to communicate with these beings, but as I kept getting closer and I was, levitating, gliding towards them, and wanted to stay for longer, all of a sudden I fell back to darkness, and I returned to my body. And after this experience, I felt rejuvenated in a way that I just had not felt before spiritually. And I felt more spiritually whole and complete. Even with all of the questions that I still had, something clicked deep within me. What needed to happen happened. And these beings, they were all welcoming and open, and there was this playfulness and curiosity that they had. And I believe that they also had this excitement once they saw that I had returned back to this kingdom. Oh my gosh, I wish I would have been able to stay longer and ask them as many questions as I could have, but it didn't pan out that way. And I find it interesting that I was underwater. This past year I've been doing more research and coming across more videos about how space is actually in the waters. And that's something that I thought of immediately when I returned back to my body. I don't know. It was a beautiful experience, and I'm grateful that I had it. I have yet to reconnect with any of these beings, but I do believe it's only a matter of time. I do believe it is only a matter of time. And once I have another experience with these beings, and if I'm hopefully able to communicate with them telepathically, or if it's an energetic vibrational conversation like how it was with the goddesses on Xylanthia, or if it's something completely different, I will be making a YouTube video about it and sharing immediately what I experienced. So that was my experience in seeing my ancestors. And I'm proud that I did not give up while trying to experience something. You know, it was worth it. And if you are like me and you are curious about your ancestors and how to communicate with them, and you don't have the tools or the people in your life who you can talk to about these things, I do recommend going to YouTube and going through as many videos as you can. You will find a video that resonates with you and that you connect with. And from there, you can follow the guidelines that this content creator is sharing with you. And if it doesn't work out the first time, don't give up. And it's not that it even didn't work out the first time for me. I just had expectations. And I want to also share, don't have expectations. Just go into it green and know that you will experience something. Even if that something is, I'm going to say, unique to you. You know, it could be you in darkness and starting to pick up on the energy around you that then creates more room within you to then have a whole different experience. So keep trying. And I also believe if you don't have that type of experience that maybe the content creator is sharing, which you probably won't, because we're all so different, and we all have, I believe, you know, a different way to reconnect with your ancestors. If it doesn't completely seamlessly go down the way that you were hoping the first time, you know, keep trying, because they're out there, and I believe they absolutely want to reconnect with you and want you to reconnect with them. And I believe as long as you have the desire in your heart and you have full faith, that you will find them and they will find you. So I'm now going to close this video out by sending peace, courage, divine cosmic love, and protection to every single 9 ether being who is on their journey of remembering their divinity and remembering who they are.